Hi there everyone, and let's continue to the Bobby Fischer-Mark Taimanov match from 1971. And this is the fourth game, and you already know that Bobby Fischer was leading 3-0. He defeated Taimanov 3 times in a row. So Fischer was 3 points and Taimanov was at 0 points. And at one point, he was even hospitalized because of suffering, because of some health problems. He had high blood pressure and he also had some mental problems, some psychological problems against Bobby Fischer. And there was also huge pressure on his shoulders against Bobby Fischer. But Bobby Fischer was cool and confident. So, okay, let's see what happened in this chess game. Taimanov needed to win, of course. So Fischer had the white pieces this time, and he starts the game with e4. And we have the Sicilian defense and open Sicilian, and knight to c3 and e6. And this is the Taimanov variation of the Sicilian defense. So Taimanov is playing his own variation. g3, a6, bishop to g2, so developing the pieces, exchanging and attacking the queen. And Fischer played bishop to f4, not retreating, so pushing the pawn and then defending the queen, h6, rook over, and attacking the d pawn. So defending, bishop to e3, bishop to g4, and bishop takes on c5. We have pawn takes bishop. Of course, capturing the rook is possible, but it is not actually because of bishop takes on d6, attacking the queen. And after defending the queen, we can capture the bishop. And white is better in this position. So actually white has 2 bishops for the exchange plus 1 extra pawn. So after this move, we have f3, and Bobby Fischer is defending his rook, of course. Bishop goes back and then f4. He wants to open the f file and then rook over, and Fischer is blocking the rook with the knight. Bishop takes, pawn takes, and then e4, blocking the bishop and attacking the d pawn. Rook over, attacking the e pawn. Rook takes on d5, and maybe defending the queen comes to mind, but Fischer played a cool move. Rook takes on e4, and if knight takes rook, then queen takes rook, and this is check. So moving the king and the material is even, and queen to e2. If knight takes rook, rook takes rook with check. So rook takes, queen takes, and that's check. Queen to d2, and we are going to this endgame. Rook to e5, defending the rook, and pushing the pawn. Fischer played bishop to f1 and attacking the a pawn. So a5, defending. And then bishop to c4 and attacking the f pawn. So defending with the rook, and then king is getting in. Of course, not king to f2. That would be a hilarious blunder. Knight to g4, forking king and the rook. So king to d6, king to f3. So this is very normal stuff. Of course, you have to get in with your king in the endgame, in a simplified game, and occupy the center. So knight to d7, attacking the rook, and rook goes back. Knight to b8, checking the king, king goes back, and then c3. Knight to c6, rook to e3, king to d6, a4, and fixing the pawns in the queen side. So knight back, pawn up, and it looks like a waiting move by Bobby Fischer. So knight to c6, h4, h5, and rook to d3, and then rook in and attacking the h-pawn. So it looks like black has some weaknesses, and Fischer goes back, rook down, rook up, rook over, king to d7, rook to e3, shuffling around and then pinning the knight. And Fischer wants to simplify the game. He wants to play rook to d3 and simplify the game. The knight is also pinned. So we have king back and then rook over and simplifying. And in this position, Fischer played king to d3, and capturing the knight is a winning threat for white, I believe. So if bishop takes and then after king takes bishop, king is getting in and white has the advantage. White king has the opposition and it is some sort of zugzwang because white is going to get in and dominate the game. So knight to e7, but then Bobby Fischer played bishop to e8 and targeting the weak pawn. And how to defend? You can only defend with the knight. So the knight has to babysit and stay on e7 right now. So it looks like not a very comfortable position for Taimanov, and Taimanov is fighting for the center, which is a very logical move. And what else actually in this position? So if Bobby Fischer can get in with the king, that is going to be a very bad news for black. But the solution is very simple. Fischer played checking the king, and what else? King goes back and then king is getting in and black can't also move the knight. Black is little tight down in this position. So king over and then checking the king and simply getting in with the king. So already white has the advantage in this position. And Taimanov played knight to c8, and can you see the threat? Knight to d6, checkmate. That would be the worst checkmate in the history of chess. So if bishop takes pawn, then knight to d6, checkmate. But the solution again is very simple. Check, and then, okay, there is no checkmate. The king can escape, and also occupying b7 with the bishop. Knight to e7, and again Bobby Fischer is targeting the pawn. So king to b7. It also looks like it could be a draw, but Fischer played bishop to b3. His bishop is very flexible. King to a7 and bishop to d1, and it kind of looks like this is some sort of zugzwang for black. It is going to be zugzwang very soon. So after checking the king, of course black king has to defend the b pawn. Meanwhile, the black knight has to watch out this pawn. So the pawns are on the light squares, and Bobby Fischer has a light square bishop. So king to c7, and then, I mean, you might also ask what happens if king to a7, then c4, and this is zugzwang actually. A very nice zugzwang. So you can't move the king, of course. I mean, if you move the king in this position, then white can capture the b pawn. So you can only move the knight in this position, but the king is getting in, and king is going to go to the king side and collect the pawns, and black has nothing in this position. Okay, so bishop to f3, king to c7, and then king is getting in and dominating very easily. Knight goes back, and then bishop attacks the knight, and then defending knight to c6, and Bobby Fischer again is targeting the pawn. What a nightmare chess game already for Mark Taimanov. He also said that after this game, he said that he had some nightmares. Interesting, isn't it? After this game, when he was sleeping, Fischer wake up Taimanov with making him seeing nightmares. Okay, interesting. Knight to e7 and bishop to e8, king to d8 in this position. So attacking the bishop, and maybe in this position, I mean, let's take it back actually. This move is a very elegant move. And you can't move the knight because bishop takes pawn. Of course, if moving the knight, then capturing the pawn, and if moving the king, we can capture this pawn. But Taimanov is attacking the bishop, and maybe in this position, bishop to f7 comes to mind, and defending the bishop, but then black can repeat the move, and maybe it is going to be draw by repetition. But in this position, Bobby Fischer, in my opinion, played a very beautiful move. And for some chess experts, actually the fourth game in the Fischer-Taimanov match was the most beautiful game. And watch this, the endgame is very beautiful and very instructive. Fischer played bishop takes on g6, sacrificing the bishop, and what else? But then he is creating a pass pawn in the queen side. King takes pawn, king takes pawn, and he's going to push the b pawn and promote the queen. Well, what a nightmare for Taimanov. It's normal to see some nightmares after this chess game. He tried so hard, but it is... he really has nothing to do in this position. So knight back and then b4 by Bobby Fischer, and he is creating this pass pawn. So he actually has two connected pass pawns, and this is all over for Taimanov. But he's still fighting hard, which is in avail. So the king is getting in, king to c8. You might also ask what happens if knight takes on g3. Well, white pawn is very fast. a6 and then a7, and white is promoting queen. Okay, so it's very simple. King goes back, king over, king to b8, b6, and Taimanov resigned immediately after this move, because there is nothing you can do. Let me show you the possible continuation, which is extremely simple, and this knight is also so pathetic, actually. So knight takes on g3, a6, and check. Very simple, very basic stuff, and white is promoting the queen. Wow, 4-0 so far. So this was the fourth game, and Bobby Fischer was leading 4. I repeat, 4-0. At this level, it is humiliating, to say the least. Okay, so I hope you have enjoyed watching this chess game. It was a 71 move game. So the video is a little bit longer than what I usually do. And I hope that you have enjoyed watching this game again. And I hope to see you next time with the 5th game between Bobby Fischer and Mark Taimanov. So stay safe, take care, and bye-bye. Thanks for watching.